Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Pac-Man here, and once again I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom for those of you who lived in Japan, and for the Game Boy Advance as well, along with the forms of the re-releases of the game on the Wii. Well, despite the fact that you can't able to actually get the Wii version anymore just because the Wii Shop channel's closure, and also there is the Wii U version, and also the new 3DS, and the Switch version for the online membership subscription services and stuff like that. Anyway, so last time we have basically managed to able to complete it, the second dungeon in the Dark World, which appears to be by the forms of the Swamp Palace. And overall, that particular palace is pretty easy for the most part, despite running into enemies super easily when it comes to likely trying to deal with you know what I mean, trying to deal with enemies while trying to swim in water and stuff like that. But regardless of everything else though, I still find that dungeon itself to be a piece of cake. So yeah, today for this video is the fact that we're about to be able to continue things on, and I think we're about to be moving on to the third dungeon in terms of the Dark World, which, if I recall correctly, it's gonna call it Skullwoods, and the only location for that is the fact that actually I just realized something. There was actually that little skull faces that's usually laid out as in an arrow. I wonder what that's for, I wonder. Well, after dealing with a lot of enemies first, before we're able to actually just do all that. So let's grab the ruby, and we're able to get out the magic mirror, so just in case we can able to use that on that specific spot. And sure enough, we're able to actually end it up there. Apparently so. So either way though, that, yeah, we're about able to... I just honestly have no words to do for the sake of time, because, well, for whatever reason, I just simply managed to able to actually just to, I don't know, backtracky kind of like, I don't know what you would call it. So, I do apologize if my commentary gets a little bit snuffled up at points. But, anyway, today's day is, of course, the 14th of February today. In this case, in 2022 today. Oh, jeez, I keep on getting hit by these little dangerous enemies right there. But anyways, it looks like that we've almost approaching to the Skull Woods. In fact, let me just go ahead and warp onto this particular spot. So because of that though, well, you notice about the fact that there's no lumberjacks to be found around here. So because of that, we can just simply just get enough room. And because since we got ourselves our Pegasus shoes ever since after completing the first dungeon in the Light World, we can bash into this. And sure enough, we're able to come across into a hole, which pretty much leads us to, not only to the staircase, but also if we enter in on that particular... Oh, there's some fairies. Oh, okay, that should be good. Especially noticeable, I need them so badly, because obviously I've almost got to able to get myself a game over, which I don't want to let that happen. So, yep, it looks like we've all set in there. And of course I need to heal myself with these two fairies combined. So, yeah, that should be good to go. And let's just go ahead and get out the any kind of item as I wished. And we got ourselves another piece of heart. So that way, we're now up to 13 heart containers now. So either way though, only 7 of them left to go. Because the actual maximum capacity, if you're trying to able to 100% for everything, for The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, along with the other Zelda games as well, including Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and also The Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and all the other Zelda games for that matter. Basically though, the maximum amount of hearts you can carry up to is 20, whilst unlike Breath of the Wild, basically you can actually hold up to 30 of them, which I'm guessing it's mainly because of how the fact that that game can be pretty difficult if you're trying to deal with like little amount of health left. So anyway though, so let's go ahead and just deal with even more enemies during the course of that particular familiar Kakariko village, except, well, basically though, there are quite a few enemies around here. And also there's a pretty easy to spot fairy section right there, which thankfully though, if you manage to able to run out of fairies to begin with, basically though, that'll be a good spot to able to actually just try to able to get, you know, some fairies to able to collect. So, and here we are, onto the forms of the actual forest itself, except now it's in the forms of well, to be more specifically, the Dark World version of this entire forest. Although, mind you though, is the fact that the actual next dungeon we're going to be run into at some form or another if we try to find the entrance of that particular dungeon. The next dungeon we're going to be run into is Skullwoods. So because of that though, yeah, this place is filled to the brim with skulls everywhere. So because of that though, hopefully we should be able to be up for the task by able to actually just try to go for this entire dungeon itself. So anyway, let's just see if we can able to go through between that hole over there, and there we go. And that way, I think this is where the entire entrance it is. So either way though, let's just go ahead and grab the ruby. And I suppose before you're able to continue things on with the forms of that particular journey, we need to fall down to this hole, and I think this is where the actual dungeon begins. So here we are, in Skullwoods. And basically though is the fact that this place is filled to the brim with like, not only some of those tricky obstacles, but eventually we'll come across into kind of a tough enemy to deal with, which is especially true from the likes of later on throughout the game, that things gets a bit tougher. So because of that though, yeah, let's just get this thing to it for Skullwoods. So yeah, that should be expected by this point, and hopefully we're able to actually get ourselves the 3rd crystal out of 7 of those crystals to obtain. So yeah, you get the idea about that. So either way though, let's just go and deal with these guys here. So just in case we're able to actually just, you know, once again use the sword beam as a technique. Oh god! Every time whenever I grab the compass, then these little floor holes will now appear. So yeah, that seems kind of odd. But anyway though, we'll just go ahead and deal with that anyway. So, anyway, a few things I want to explain when it comes to today's day. Like I said before, today's day is, of course, the 14th of February today. In this case, in 2022 today. So it looks like that we pretty much almost nearly at the halfway point. Well, until tomorrow anyway. Oh, God. Actually, before I get into more details on that, these are the Floor Masters, where basically, every once in a while throughout the entire dungeon itself, as you see on that drop shadow, that actually indicates that the Floor Master will try to able to come towards you. And every time you're able to get grabbed by the forms of the Floor Master, you're able to actually just take it all the way back to the beginning. So, some people despise those kind of enemies, but usually, relatively speaking, that it might be kind of like random at times. Well, I've no idea what I'm saying for this points today, because honestly, I have no words to say. Well, apart from the fact that I haven't exactly mentioned about the last few bips and bobs when it comes to likely full Nintendo Direct announcements they've revealed for about, you know, a few days ago, since in last Wednesday. So either way though, things get a bit more relative at this point, which at this point in time is the fact that during in the future years for its Switch lifespan, that it's pretty obvious, like I said before, that the Direct obviously takes place in February for the 3rd time, or technically the 4th time if you count the forms of the Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct before the game's release. And as a result though, that it will continue that tradition. And also, maybe we'll get ourselves our next Nintendo Direct, maybe during in summer, or especially noticeable during in September, much like the other years. So, but we'll see what happens there. So, anyway, today it's the Happy Valentine's Day today. Oh, and by the way, this particular dungeon itself, the Skullwoods, doesn't seem to have that much floors. It's pretty obvious, because in order able to go from one place to the other, is the fact that, actually, kind of think about it, let me double check on the map. Yeah, it's only have 2 basement floors. So because of that though, yeah, because this place, despite it might be huge at points, but ultimately speaking though, it doesn't seem to have that much floors. So, which that's why that we get out to get able to keep on traversing through the entire woods itself on the outside, to able to actually go through alternative routes to take. So that totally seems a bit more obvious. So anyway, so let's head back out, and because I think we should probably double check on any other areas now. So either way though, let's just go ahead and continue things on here. So yeah, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Especially noticeable about the fact that for those who've ever spent some time with your loved ones and all that stuff, and everyone else usually cared for you. So in this case, though, yeah, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. So in this case, though, is the fact that, relatively speaking, also, that, recently during the forms of today, that along the same time as when Valentine's Day is usually a thing, happy 2nd anniversary of the release of Sonic the Hedgehog the movie in 2020, despite how that year has gone pretty terrible. But at the very least the movie is still awesome, but either way though, it's just the fact that the actual year itself sucks. But anyway, yeah, I can't believe Sonic the Hedgehog the movie did actually become 2 years old now. So after all, that the sequel is going to be still on its way. So as a result though, I've seen quite a few things happening for the sake of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, such as for instance a small brief trailer, which is basically a bite-sized version of the exact same trailer clips as the first one, except the fact that they actually added in some of these captions. So yeah, I thought to myself about that. And also a brief new clips that features Sonic stepping into the actual water while trying to running fast. You know, kind of like how he did in the forms of in, well, let's just say that pretty terrible Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, which I don't want to talk about that game anymore because, well, that game sucks. Oh, I somehow managed to go back here, apparently. Okay, I'm dealt with, especially noticeable that despite the Floor Master just managed to caught me, but regardless of everything else though, jeez, those mummies can able to hurt me really hard, which I did not know that at first, but either way though, let's just go ahead and try to sort out the statue, but I need to get more health because otherwise, oh jeez, the Floor Master reappears. Okay. I think this is not the way we're supposed to do, because, well, I'm supposed to able to actually just to pull it, rather than just pushing it, so we'll try to figure this out though, so do not worry, so we'll just, go do it quickly before the Floor Master will come back, so anyway, and also I've seen a lot of merchandises for the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, such as for instance with the plushes themselves, the action figure, including Dr. Robotnik, in his case Jim Carrey model. So yeah, it does look pretty cool, I have to say. Especially noticeable about the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, is the fact that, well, it seems kind of strange in the UK country at the moment that the My Little Pony and New Generation merchandise doesn't seem to able to pop up as much compared to America and other countries and stuff like that. Like, I was expecting more plushies to come out, or some more stuff in mind, but all we got is basically just figures and animatronic toys and stuff, and also fashionable dresses and stuff like that, such as like Sunny Star Scout and also Pip Pedals and stuff like that. So at least as far as I can usually remember that. So anyway though, so let's just go ahead and let the Floor Master just come by, which it already did. So yeah, we'll just continue things on. Oh, and another thing I would like to mention about this as well, since that we actually still on the middle of this whole entire halfway point in terms of the forms of Mario Kart Tour, for the sake of the forms of the Los Angeles Tour, that I'm still pretty much in pretty bad luck at this rate, because I still haven't got a chance to get Charging Chuck or Mario. Actually, gotta think about it though, I should probably talk about this briefly. That, one thing I totally forgot to mention about since last Wednesday, that is the fact that in addition to able to having ourselves Charging Chuck as the main racer on that particular tour, we also got ourselves 2 cosmetic characters, which are both Mario and Luigi, and this time around though, they are both in golf outfits, so that's something worth classifying for mentioning that, and sadly I died, because obviously I did not expect with that that shield-like enemy just gets in my way. So after dealing with you know, some skulls we need to carry, so I guess we'll have to take a death, I suppose. Excuse me, I've got something on my throat there, I do apologize for that. So yeah, because as a result though, that's we actually getting ourselves Mario and Luigi within golf outfits, like I said before, but those golf outfits are actually based off from NES Open Tournament Golf, which technically already does that from the likes of Mario Golf Super Rush as well, but I'll discuss more about that whenever we're able to continue things on with this game. So anyway, let's just go ahead and oh jeez, we have these floor switches again, so is this correct? I'm not exactly 100% sure, Because mind you, that this particular dungeon is, I'm not gonna lie, kind of tough. Because I wasn't expecting if I was trying to able to set this right or not. So apparently I just got this wrong. So anyway, and I should probably let the floor master try to able to call me in the middle of this entire process, because obviously it allows me to able to actually decide to able to let me respawn onto the beginning portion of the dungeon itself. So either way, let's get caught right away, and that will pretty much take me all the way back to the exact same room I've entered. So that should be good, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, at least I don't need to worry about just trying to able to backtrack a lot. So anyways, let's go ahead and just go back there briefly, so that way we can able to just, well, continue things on for this point. So and that way we can able to pull up the lever, so we can able to actually just to let the wall explode on its own, and we can able to actually finally open up the big chest. So I wonder what that contains. I wonder what else to say. And we got ourselves the fire rod, which basically this allows you to able to have fire anywhere you want. But much like the forms of the ice rod, basically though is the fact that we need to keep this in mind, that we have to rely on the magic meter every time we use those rods. So now we have the ice rod, and finally we have the fire rod. So pretty cool and awesome at the same time. So anyway, so let's get into the forms of another discussions for this point today, and that is the fact that, relatively speaking, when it comes to the continuation of those Nintendo Direct announcements they've obviously revealed, I've already mentioned this briefly for the sake of the forms of, yes, Klonoa is finally back after, what, 20 years ago? Since its new game? Well, technically though, that was in 2008, where the last time we saw Klonoa by the forms of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile for the Nintendo Wii as a remake. So generally speaking, it's been 14 years since we've last heard about Klonoa. So yeah, about time to able to actually decide to revive him. Although, mind you, much like the forms of how it does it on the Wii remake, basically though, the new game of Klonoa is coming on not only for the Switch, but also multi-platforms as well, ranging from PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and even PC Steam, and even PlayStation 5 versions of the game are about to be coming. So because of that though, and I think the Switch version is going to come out first, and I think that's about to due out at some point in July the 8th, in this case in this year in particular. Oh, and by the way, before we mention more about it though, you notice with this particular section right there, basically though is the fact that that's what the fire rod comes into play, and that way if we try to use it just right in front of him, then that way we can actually enter the actual next section. Something to keep in mind, because obviously that way we can able to actually continue things on for this point. So anyway, and the actual the new game for Klonoa, they did manage to able to reveal ourselves. Basically, in addition to able to bringing back Klonoa Daughter Phantomile for the second time after the events of the Wii remake back in 2008, despite its poor sales on the Wii remake, sadly, that's mainly because of how the fact that, well, relatively speaking, it's just the fact that, well, actually, I kind of think about it. I was expecting to try to able to get that chest, though, but the only thing is, though, I absolutely have no idea where I can usually get it from here. Although, from what I can gather, is the fact that it obviously contains, like, keys or rubies or anything, so, at least if I'm guessing correctly, so. Anywho, though, another thing I would point out, though, well, like I said before, in addition to able to bringing back Klonoa Daughter Phantomile for the second time, but this time within a gorgeous HD visuals department this time around though, but also they finally bring back Klonoa 2 Lunity's Veil. So you guys who do know that we've already done the Let's Plays of those two games on the original hardware, after all, since 2019 and last year respectively. So because of that though, I am very, very happy that Klonoa is back, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, the visuals, from the look of it though, it's amazing, especially noticeable about the fact that, although it does kind of feels a bit slightly similar to the forms of how it does it in Super Monkey Ball, where basically though, whenever they first announced Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, they obviously bring back the levels from Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, and send the majority of other levels from Deluxe as well, and combine them into one. I'm pretty sure it does the same thing for Klonoa as well, although the actual collection of Klonoa is actually going to be called, for the sake of the forms of coming this year, that's what appears to be by the forms of, well, Klonoa Fantasy Review Series. So because of that though, I am definitely gonna pick that game up. I think I might as well get the Switch version, because originally I was expecting to try to get multiple versions of those two games into one, but honestly though, I think one version is quite enough, honestly. So because of that though, since I've already got, you know, Klonoa Dawn of Phantom Isle physical form on the PS1, and of course I've got the physical version of Klonoa 2 Lunity's Veil on the PlayStation 2, and of course that you already know, we've already got Empire of Dreams on the Wii U eShop version, and also we've got Casino Klonoa Moonlight Museum on the emulator, and Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament. So I do apologize if my mouth gets a little bit more messier points, but who cares, because obviously though, I am so happy that Klonoa is finally back after so many years. Like, it's, again, it does feels a bit slightly similar, assuming it back in new forms a bit in 2016, although mind you, the reason why that the Klonoa remake— ah, dang it! Ah, stupid Floor Masters. I don't mind them and hated them at the same time, so because of that though, they always caught me off guard, assuming if I was able to prepare for my next battle. Oh well, we have to start all over again. Oh jeez, this is kind of underwhelming. But I digress. And the reason being that the reason why the Klonoa remake, or the Klonoa remaster collections is now up, is because, well, relatively speaking, is the fact that, I think this year is going to mark the 25th anniversary of the rest of the Klonoa series. So, yeah, a perfect opportunity for another anniversary stuff. Like, what is this? Like, back in the forms of 2016, they revealed, let's just say, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy when they first announced it. Well, originally, that particular compilation game was supposed to be able to be released on 2016, but it pushes back in 2017 to make it a little bit more polished. But as a result though, I totally get the idea. And like I said before, that it kind of feels a bit similar as well, as in Super Monkey Ball's 20th anniversary. They, like I said, whenever they first announced Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, and that way that marks the 20th anniversary of the Super Monkey Ball series. So yeah, that's actually pretty super dope and everything. So at least I'm very happy with those. Old retro series is finally back in action after so many years to come. I mean, all it needs next is basically, when can we able to actually see the next Mega Man X game or something like that? Although, mind you though, it might be a bit too early to decide, because mind you, that we actually got legacy collections between 1 and 2 for Mega Man X series, so I have no idea when, what the next Mega Man X game is going to be involved around into. I know there's technically a mobile game called Mega Man X Dive, but honestly I don't usually count that because it's more likely like a mobile game, so I don't classify for counting that, honestly. Anyway, so enough about that, and the next thing they did revealed for this particular direct, and that's what appears to be another compilation, but this time around though, it's Portal's time to shine, which in this case we have Portal Companion Collection, which I think that particular collection is going to be releasing this year as well, sometime this year anyway. And that particular collection, not only does it contain the original Portal, but also Portal 2 as well. So because of that though, geez, it feels like that the Nintendo Switch is actually doing super well recently, which I guess is a good thing. Especially noticeable they managed able to bring in some of those familiar games back, but ultimately on the Nintendo Switch now. So yeah, that's actually super awesome. So anyway, let's just go down here. And soon enough, we're able to meet up with, personally, is my least favorite boss fight in the game, which appears to be this weird moth-like boss, which I'm not exactly sure what his name is though, or actually kind of think about it, I think I found his name by the way, and his name was Mafula. So basically, this arena is, well, kind of hellish, because basically, in addition to trying to deal with the actual moth monster itself, but also we have to deal with her in a surrounding of spikes. Like, literally, so many spikes ever since in Mega Man 4. Well, mind you though, this game came out the same year as Mega Man 4 for the NES, so yeah, I have no idea why they're so obsessed with spikes. Like, I absolutely have no idea. But anyway, her weakness is obviously the fire rod, but of course I accidentally wasted all the magic meter, but that's okay, because we've already defeated her, and also we've rescued another sage from the third crystal. Pac-Man, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of the evil monsters. Thank you. We said that for a third time in a row. Do you know the prophecy of the great Capitism? Is this the way I heard it? If a person who has an evil heart gets the Triforce, a hero is destined to appear. And he alone must face the person who began the great catalysm. If the evil one destroys the hero, nothing can save the world from his wretched requiem. Only a person of the Knights of Hyrule who protected the royalty of Helia can become the hero. You are of their bloodline, aren't you? Then you must rescue Zelda without fail. Do you understand? Yes, for the third time. May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce. Again, for the third time that has usually been said. And there we go, that pretty much concludes Skull Words. Not too difficult though, but aside from the forms of the Floor Masters, they will decide to call you off guard most of the time, so yeah, I guess that's that. So, and the next thing they did revealed for the sake of the forms of that particular recent Nintendo Direct, which appears to be, let's just say, a remake of the forms of a classic game from the old retro game or something like that, which appears to be, Live Alive. So, either way though, it's like a, I would classify for saying it's like an RPG kind of game, and they managed able to remake it, so, yeah, I guess that's that. And I think that particular, game, it was gonna be coming this year as well, I think? Yeah, I think it's coming in during this, this year, but new forms of July 22nd. So, either way though, it's usually on the halfway point in terms of this entirety of, the year itself so far, so... Anyway, so before we leave the actual words, well, obviously I always ended up going onto the actual another rooms for the sake of time right there, because in order to leave, we have to able to actually re-enter some sections of the actual dungeon itself sometimes, so... And be careful not to fall into those holes, by the way, because, again, if you fell into those holes like I just did from earlier ago, basically, though, you're able to go into the dungeon itself, so... But yeah, you get the gist of it, so... Anyway, and after that though, they actually did manage to surprise us with another Nintendo game, specifically the Nintendo Switch game is going to be revealed at some point. It's going to be drawn out at some point on April, which appears to be a spiritual successor to the Wii Sports series. Because after all, that's previously we had Wii Sports back in 2006, and also we have Wii Sports Resorts back in 2009, and Wii Sports Club on the Wii U, which it did at first glance that you're able to actually get access to fewer sports in 2013, but then later on it gets like a packaging version of the game, until in 2014 they're able to get the full experiences. And this time, on the forms of 2022, we are getting the Nintendo Switch counterpart to Wii Sports, now calls it Nintendo Switch Sports. So, that's actually pretty surprising, especially noticeable about the fact that I did not notice that usually exists at first. Well, I think it's going to be made by Nintendo, just like the forms of how it does it on other Wii Sports variations of Wii Sports. Seriously, that game is actually way more popular every now and then. So as a result though, yeah, they got some familiar sports for those who ever played Wii Sports before. such as, for instance, they brought back tennis, and also they brought back bowling. In addition to those, though, I think they also bring, technically speaking, they obviously bring back one of those sports based off from Wii Sports Resort, and that's what appears to be by the forms of, oh sweet, I got myself another piece of heart. Oh, and by the way, with this treasure game, by the way, you can only open up 2 chests, so that's something you need to classify for noticing this, so at least I'm very lucky with this, though. Anyway, so, yeah, because think of, like, the forms of swordplay from the likes of Wii Sports Resort, except now they managed to, for some reason, rename the actual sport, which appears to be, Kahama. I think that's what it's called anyway. And there are some new sports in the lineup, such as, for instance, football. So, yeah, 2 football stuff is on that particular Nintendo Direct, like, for instance, Mario Strikers Battle League Football, and now we have a sport, the football sport on the likes of Nintendo Switch Sports. So, and of course we got ourselves badminton, and lastly volleyball. Well, according to the forms of that particular time at this moment, these are the 3 new sports they obviously introduced. So, I guess that's that. And apparently though, what I've noticed is the fact that there's actually another familiar sport they were able to bring it back, which appears to be golf. So, yeah, golf is going to be returning for this point, guys. And especially noticeable about the fact that maybe at some point in future updates and beyond, maybe they might able to potentially try to have, let's just say, baseball or boxing sports, but time will tell at this point. And like I said before, Nintendo Switch Sports is going to be releasing until this April, specifically by the end of this April, in 29th in April this year. So at the very least that's that. And of course, much like in Wii Sports Club on the Wii U, there's online functionality. So because of that though, you can able to play the game online. So I guess that's that. And of course we got even more rupees, so we are basically maxed out already. So this game is so generous with rupees in this case. So anyway, so before we move on, and basically so I need to double check on certain stuff, specifically if we try to smack that right here and cut these bushes. Okay, it's just nothing besides just that rupee right here, but that's okay, because either way though, we'll go ahead and use the magic hammer. Oh god! That ghost is trying to swipe me. Anyway, so we'll just keep on moving. And there's the actual gargoyle statue that's been replaced in the light world. That's basically in the light world, all it gets is just basically it's like a the wind bird thing. Well, if we're trying to able to use the magic mirror onto that specific spot, then we managed to able to return back to Kakariko Village in the light world. And as you probably already know, since that we've already did manage to collect ourselves the flute from earlier ago, basically if we manage to use it right in front of that particular wind bird statue thing right there, and basically it actually extends the music for a bit, and basically this will happen. Oh, did you look at that? The bird itself has now been freed somehow. So basically what this means is the fact that you can now able to actually utilize the warping system for specific sections. Like for example, if I was trying to use my flute, basically that particular bird will try to take me to a specific spot. However, this only applies onto the light world apparently, because you can't use him in the dark world, because it seems pretty obvious, because obviously that the actual thing itself will come in handy. So I digress. So anyways, let's go ahead and warp onto let's warp back in here, because, well, in addition that the warp, the magic mirror sparkle effect is still showed up, but also, before we head back onto the forms of the dark world, before we take care of the forms of the next dungeon throughout the game, I need to take care of the forms of other things first, although I would like to mention about the last few bits and bobs for the sake of the forms of those Nintendo Direct announcement reveals they did revealed, by that time anyway though, but I think I should probably, actually, I think I also have enough time to able to mention one last game before we move on to the other stuff I would like to mention about. That is the fact that they've managed to reveal another Tako no Tatsu Syndrome rhythm festivals. So because of that, though, they have a lot of those things right now. So anyway, if you try to use the magic powder on here, hey, blast you for making me from the deep, dark sleep. So basically, though, is the fact that this particular bat will try to able to make me go into... Oh god, what the heck is going on? Okay. I laughed at your misfortune. Now your magic power will drop a little, so... Yeah, basically, as you can see on the top left corner of the screen, as you can tell, I've now actually got the 1-2 on here. Which means that the magic meter will not able to actually drop a lot this time around. So, it's a good thing we did that anyway. So just in case we can able to actually just to... make our journey a little bit more easier when it comes to using the magic meter itself. So, I guess that's been sorted. So, yeah, I guess that's that. And, yeah, I think I'll try to able to mention more details about the forms of, that particular game, like I said, until maybe, later on. Actually, I think I'll mention about this briefly, and I think... that particular game, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's about to due out at some point, this year as well. So because of that, though, yeah, I guess that's that. And there's also more info on Triangle Strategy, which, I think they did manage to release the demo of the game already, by that time before you approach onto Chapter 3. So, but then again, I'll talk more about that in the later videos. So in this case, though, yeah, I guess that's about it, so... Anyway, so before we, take on the forms of the next dungeon, then we just go ahead and find some of these fairies. Actually, I don't think that's necessary we can able to deal with fairies for right now, because if we pull this really hard, then we're able to open up the next dungeon. So, speaking of which though, join me next time for more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. That is the fact that we'll hit on to the forms of the next dungeon in the game, called Gargoyle's Domain. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Later, fellas.